All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Okay, in honor of our 425th video that I have done on YouTube that we have posted out there, I am going to go back and talk a little bit about the 4-2-5 defensive structure. It is something that we have used in the past. It's something that I have been familiar with in the past, and something that I've done a bunch of videos on. So what I'm going to do today, because it's the 425th video, okay, and 4-2-5, 425th, we're going to do a segment on the 4-2-5 structure, going from pro to detached, 3x1, just a simple introduction and my thoughts on that. Make sure you check out some of our partners. GameStrat, sideline replay system we use at the school that I'm currently at. Baker Sporting Goods, company we use for our uniforms, coaches gear, players gear at the school that I'm currently at, all the schools that I've been at in the past 10 years. Dome Hats, which is the headwear company we use here at the school that I'm currently at, Bishop Kenny High School, the schools I've previously been at, and with Play Fast, they make our hats for Play Fast Football. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. Get thousands of reps without needing a partner. Use it in the offseason, put them in the weight room. You can bring them out to the field and set them up on the field as well, so they're good for in-season, out-of-season, working on all those mechanics that you need, skill development, technique, fundamental development, to be an awesome striker. So check out DifferenceUSA. Just Play Football, which is it's playbook software. I think it's the best play diagramming tool on the market. We use it as our playbook here, and I use it anytime I am going to do webinars, speak at clinics, or anything I do on my Patreon site that involves actual playbook drawings or play diagram tools. I always use Just Play, so check them out. HighandTight, which is a ball security training aid that has instant auditory feedback. You have to hold the ball in the proper position with the proper points of pressure to hear the beep. So the players, when doing drills, a lot of times I would use it in our running back or receiver if we were doing different drills for footwork or, whatever those individual everyday drills might be. That's where we would use it. Work on proper ball security, proper points of pressure. If they hear the beep while they're going through a bag drill or something different, a drill involving reads and cuts for a running back, they have to hear the beep the entire time they're doing the drill. If they don't hear the beep, that means they've lost proper points of pressure and our ball, security is at risk. So as soon as you lose that beep, you know that you're at risk of a fumble. As long as you've got, the ball in a proper position, you hear the beep, you are mitigating all the chances and limiting all the chances of possibly fumbling the football. So make sure you check out HighandTight. And then our newest sponsor, TDPublishing, books, videos, helping the coaching community, helping people get better, trying to grow the game of football and give back to the coaching community. Some of the recent videos they have, there's a wide zone video out there, and then there's a 6-part video series from Ferris State, the Division II National Championship. So make sure you check out TDPublishing. So anybody that has watched, now that I talk about the 425th video, 9 years of Play Fast Football, anybody that has watched this YouTube channel understands I have never sold a system. I have never asked anybody to purchase a system. I've done one video for CoachTube a couple of years back. I have a Patreon site that's a subscription site. But in all the things that I do, I talk about my philosophy, the things that I do, why I choose the things that I do, maybe things that are out there in the football world right now that are the flavor of the month, or trying to do or pay justice to the trends that are out there in the football world. But in none of my videos have I ever said that this is a system that I want people to buy, or this is the only system, or this is the best system, because I honestly don't believe in any of that. I think, systems are great in general, but I think what you're starting to see, to me, in the last 10, 15, 20 years of football is putting different theories from different backgrounds into hybrid systems. Okay, so when you look at like the new air raid or the newest version of the air raid, the Lincoln Riley type stuff is the way I would look at it, with all these dynamic run plays and RPOs, and combining gap run schemes with the air raid system of passing. You look at a lot of the spread teams out there that run the football. There are so many wing T concepts in the spread. And it's the same thing on defense. There's so many hybrid concepts now and using players in hybrid positions that sometimes I think the word system gets tossed around too much. And I don't think you have to buy fully into one or the other. I think there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat in football. But the one thing I would say, even though I've never asked anybody to purchase a system, if I had to answer a question for a young up and coming coach about a defensive system, I always refer back to the 4-2-5. And the reason I say that is because, to me, I think it is the easiest plug and play defensive structure / system that you can teach at the high school level, that can be made easy to understand for players, easy to understand for coaches. I think the adjustments are very simple in nature. So, I think if you had to, when I get young guys that ask me, Coach, what if you were a brand new DC starting out, or I'm a first year DC starting out, what do you recommend? I always recommend the 4-2-5 system structure, however you want to look at it, personnel grouping, however you want to categorize 4-2-5 defense, because I think it is the easiest to plug and play effectively in a high school setting. Now, that's also kind of the antithesis of why people have gravitated away from over front, is the deal that every offensive coach draws things to over front. That's the argument all the time you see on social media, or even I get comments all the time on this channel about things. Hey, coach, can you draw it up to odd? It's always drawn up to even. Well, I think it's natural for coaches to draw something up and draw up that front that is they've seen their entire life. For me, without a tight end, under and over look the same. So I know under and over are different fronts, but we played so long without a tight end that under and over kind of look the same. So it's really easy for me to just draw that front up, get after it and say, hey, here's what we do, here's how we do it. Well, the argument or the counter to that all the time is that's the issue with the over front 4-2-5. They know where you are. They know where the 3 technique is. Everybody can block the over front. And as I do agree with that, and we've moved more towards some odd trends, some stack trends, some tight front deals. I've ran 3-4 systems in the past. While I do agree with that, on the flip side, I think it's the simplest, safest structure to install correctly, with simplicity, that can be very effective, and you can have all the answers built in that you need for, a successful high school football team. The best year we've ever had, 9-1, third round of the playoffs, 2 games away from the state title. We were a 4-2-5 team. So yes, we tweaked it over the years. I started playing with hybrid safeties left and right, not true spurs or whips or stars, or however you want to look at it. We were playing with a left safety and a right safety. Reasons I've talked about in videos before, trade, shifts, motions. But we've had a ton of success with the 4-2-5. And the only reason we've really gravitated away from it is because of the nature of the way the game's being played now. It's sometimes odd structures are a little bit easier to get people where you need them, get the bodies on the field that you need to get on the field. I think the 4-2-5 structure sometimes in high school can be tough because you got to find 4 D linemen. And if you have 4 D linemen, you probably got to find 6 to 8 when it comes to backups, tempo, injuries, other things. So a lot of reasons why we've kind of gone away from the 4-2-5, but in honor of the 425th video, here is the simplest, easiest way I think you can install the 4-2-5 with simple rules, quarters coverage toolbox, single side menu, give you an effective way to play football. All right, so 4-2-5 over front. So we're going to set the 3 technique where we want to set the 3 technique. That's basically, in general, over front rules, over front football. You set the 3 technique where you want them. If you're an under front or a reduction front, you'd be sending the A shade with the Mike linebacker and the 5 technique and the B gap bubble where you want to, and then the reduction side would be the weak side. For us in the over front, the 3 technique is where we are going to choose to set the front. So when people talk about how do you set the front in over, it's where are you setting the 3 technique. So if I draw up 21 personnel first, we set the 3 technique to the 3-man surface. Very simple day 1 camp rules. We have a 3 technique and what I would call a 7 technique inside eye on the tight end. Okay, that can be argued at different points. Is it a 6 eye? Is it a 7? Is it whatever? Inside eye on the tight end is what we're talking. I call it a 7 technique, whatever you call it, so be it. You don't have to say 7. That numbering system for your D-line, it's different all around the world, all around the country. Use what is comfortable for you. As long as your kids know it, it's not a big deal. So we'll play with the 3 and a 7 to the tight end side. We'll play in our 4-2-5. I played with a 2 eye, not a shade. So I played with a 2 eye inside eye on the weak side guard, a 5 technique, anchor or away side end on the weak side. Our Mike linebacker is a 10 technique, a gap player. We do have to get over the top in gap exchange versus certain runs, gap runs. We may have to boss the backer strong a little bit when you start seeing fullbacks offset in those situations where we need to get a little bit more leverage off tackle. We're just talking about camp rules day one. Will linebacker in a 30 technique. In general, B gap run player his side, A gap to cut back or whatever may happen on the other side. In the back, our structure has always been quarters. It's always been a quarters base. So tight end flanker, we start in a quarter system. Left safety to the side, or the safety that's to the side of our free safety becomes our nickel spur, however you want to look at that, nickel linebacker, okay? He is the D-gap force player. He is the flat player in the passing game. He's got to take a 2 to the flat or the first to the flat. He's got to carry it on the wheel. All right, free safety becomes that 9th man in the box, playing aggressive, run reads, robber reads, however you want to look at it, probably 8x1 inside the tight end, 8 off. Tight end puts his hands on the 7. One of the reasons I love the 4-2-5 with the 3 and the 7 to the tight end, if you play quarters versus 21 teams, tight end really has to declare what he's trying to do. Yes, there are some arc schemes where the tight end's going to arc, but most of the time when you're getting gap schemes, the tight end will put his hands on the 7. He's got to move the 7, down block the 7. I think it makes the reads really simple for the free safety. We define our run fits and our force structure, which I think is very simplistic in high school. That down safety nickel, all right, he's going to be the D-gap force player. We know that the free safety is going to fit off the mic in any off tackle runs. He's going to fit off the mic. And the down safety is going to try and D-gap force it. He's going to fit off of that. It defines our run fits. It defines our principles of force, makes it very simple. So to the weak side, we have what I would call a single side menu. So the single side menu tells us that we have 5 different things that we like to teach. Some schools may have 6, 7 in the Saban tree, whatever it may be. I've got 5 things that I like to teach. Sky is traditional, safety down, D-gap support, curl flat player. Corner would have all the deep routes of 1, the deep half, however you want to teach it or look at it at your school. Cloud would be the inverse of that. So cloud wouldn't be I'll get to a hard cover 2 structure. We do play traditional cover 2. Cloud would not be a press jam funnel technique. Cloud would be a slice to where the corner on the snap of the ball dives hard inside to be the D-gap curl flat player. The safety now has over the top. So Sky and Cloud are the inverse of each other. They're kind of inverted 2 deep, if you want to look at it that way. We've got a hard D-gap run player, curl flat player. We've got somebody playing off the deep half or all the deep routes of that number 1 single side receiver. Hard would be traditional cover 2. Why do we like to carry hard coverage into the boundary? Teams that like to throw access, take the easy throws. You play into the short side of the field. The corner is a press corner, jam funnel, force 1 inside, but I'm the D-gap run player right now. I think you can still do it into the boundary, get an effective jam on 1, and still be a force player in the run game. And now the safety has the deep route. So it's traditional cover 2, not inverted cover 2. Hard would be, Hawk would be kind of a man-free variation on that side, where when we play Hawk, we tell the corner to play all of 1, the will linebacker to play the first 2 out man-to-man, and that safety now plays at quarters depth, robber depth, however you want to look at it. He is a flat foot reader. Any runs, we will fill aggressively downhill, fit where needed on our side, cut back away. Any passes, we will play to the vision of the quarterback. Quarterback looks strong side, we'll close the middle. Quarterback looks single side, we'll double the single. And then cone is the Saban terminology, cutting the backside, playing a bracket with the corner and the safety. That receiver releases inside, the safety cuts it, plays it man-to-man. The corner becomes outside help, extra in the run game, force player. That receiver releases outside. The corner's got to put him in the bleachers man-to-man. He's yours by yourself. The safety now turns his attention back inside and becomes the extra player to help the will linebacker in man coverage or to help D-gap runs. So we get an inside-out bracket based on how they want to release. And at the same time, we also get an extra player in run support. Or if you're into the boundary and you're getting a lot of those rail routes with slant wheel by the back, now when you get that route, the inside route comes and the safety cuts it. The corner is sitting outside to help if the will gets picked on the wheel route. So it's got, it's effective. It's got a lot of uses. So we also teach cone coverage. Do we play all 5 of those every game? No. Do we play all 5 of those every school that I've been at? No. If the system is taught and we can get to it, that is our single side menu. And then we teach our kids based on game plans, where the ball is, down and distance, what they need to call based on splits, who the number one is, where are you on the field, what's the down and distance, score of the game, maybe other things that we like to teach the safeties, to then give them the menu to say, look, you've got this menu, you can play whatever you want to the single. We're going to teach you what we like situationally, situational football, game plan football, who they are, what they do, who the dude is out there. But you're going to make the call on the single side menu. Strong side, we're going to play quarters. Now, the quarters toolbox that we talk about is when you start to get a number two detached. So now when you start to see two back, usually shotgun orientated nowadays, but if you start to see two back and you start to see it with number two detached, all right, we're not gonna play our traditional quarters, because our traditional quarters would take our nickel, Sam, whatever you want to look at it, our left safety right now, and put them outside of number two. And that leaves us with a safety that's got a vertical threat of two and a down Sam nickel that's outside of two, leaves our box a little bit lighter versus two back. So we go to the two read palms, which is the toolbox adaptation of quarters. It's that answer that allows you in a quarter system to leave your down safety inside of two, and now your corner and your free safety, will play two read off of the release of number two, so that if number two, whatever your rules are for declaring what number two does, some people use yardage, some people use depth of linebackers. If two is out, it turns into cover two. The corner, all right, buys two. The safety's got to get all the way to one. If two is up, it turns into man-to-man. Safety's got two, corner's got one. If two is under or inside, now we can get some help to number one. We can get some help backside depending on game plan. Now it turns into traditional old-fashioned quarters theories. Now that safety can rob post-dig curl, or he can rob backside dig or something, depending on what you're playing. But if two is under and there's no vertical threat, we don't need to play him man. So now that safety can help where we need him to help based on game plan. Corner has all of one. So two read, because we're reading number two, we call it palms coverage. That's the first adjustment. The reason I like that so much is in plug and play in the 4-2-5, we still play the same front. The end now becomes a 5 instead of a 7. So he's outside shade on a tackle because we don't have a 3-man surface. Mike is to the call side. So if there was no 3-man surface, we're either going to set it to the passing strength, or there'll be times where we set it to the back and one back. We set it away from 3-by-1 that I'm going to draw up next. So however you set the front, the Mike's going to travel with your 3 technique and your 5-7. The Will travels with your 2-eye and your 5 on the backside. And the beauty of it is we made one adjustment on the front side. So we've made one palms adjustment, quarters toolbox variation on the front side, and the backside still plays the single side menu. So the backside is still playing all their single side rules, single side menu. So we've had very limited adjustment to a two detached. We just had to make our quarters adjustment out there. The next thing I would teach them out there, because of all the RPOs and splits, is something that we would call money. All right, and money for us would be corner man on 1, safety man on 2. Underneath players play palms, so the Mike and the down safety to the passing strength play palms off of 3 the way they always would, but we play 1 and 2 man, so that teams that like to split us real wide and try and get our apex defender away from the run fit, we're not going to allow them to do that. We're going to check man out there and allow the underneath guys to play palms, which means if 3 is wide, down safety is going to push, Mike's going to push. If 3 is vertical, the Mike's got to match 3 vertical. Very simple adaptations, very simple to plug and play versus 2 removed. Just building the quarters toolbox palms to read. We're still single side adjustments. And then when we go to 3-by-1, again, because of the 3 safety structure, we're going to be able to defend 3-by-1 using only front side players. So we're going to defend 3-by-1 using only front side players, which means we don't have to borrow the backside safety, which means if we're not borrowing the backside safety, we can stay with all of our single side menu deals. So on the front side, we would play what most people call mini, stubby, in the saving world. So we're going to have a safety outside of 2, free safety inside of 3. We're going to play man-to-man on number 1 everywhere he goes. So our corner's going to play press man most of the time on number 1. So when that happens, if you eliminate number 1 from the picture, there's only 2 receivers left. How do we play 2 receivers? We play 2 receivers in palms. The difference is now the 4 players on 3 in this diagram are now the left safety, free safety, Will, and Mike are playing a version of palms. same version of palms. So what this means is in your practice plans, when you're working on half line coverages, you've got to be able to rotate your backers to be able to play what we call the 3-dropper and the palm dropper. Your safeties have to be able to play the palm dropper and the high part of palms. Okay, but your safety also has to get reps as a corner in palms coverage, because as soon as you go to 3x1, our first adjustment is mini stubby, which means our hybrid safeties, if they're on the passing strength side to the trips, they've got to play palms off of that new number 1, which is technically the number 2. If I eliminate number 1, 2, and 3 are the only things left. It's now with 1 being man-to-man, I can take him again. There he is, 3x1, but he's man-to-man. X him out. There's only 2 left in the back. We can play our normal palms theory. I would set the 3 technique away from the trips, because if the will has to hip outside to help us with leverage in the run game and be the palms dropper out there, I want to leave the B gap open so he doesn't have an interior gap to fall back to. The Mike's an A gap player. And now the beauty of it, again, all these single side deals stay with the same menu. So that's why we can get to a point that we like all of the menu that we can teach, because it stays consistent to single side. If my trips coverage doesn't need to borrow the backside safety, if I don't need this guy to the trip side, I can play all my single side menus. So that to me is where we get the consistency, the repetitions, building things in. That's why I think it's a very simple structure, although we do a lot of the same things in a 3-3 stack on the back end. So we teach the back end this way because of that theory. I think it's very simple to do. A lot of times people ask, Coach, there's so many things going on. It says play fast. You say that your moniker is play fast, your brand is play fast. How do you do all that? We don't always carry everything into games. Just because we do them in a video doesn't mean I carry what I need to carry and what my kids can play always. Just because I do something in a video doesn't mean that we try to do all of that with our kids. A lot of times guys will make comments and go, well, if you didn't do so many things, maybe you would win more games. Okay, I get it. You're trying to say that we do too much. It's confusing. Because I do something in an educational video that I'm trying to help give all the different theories or possibilities, that doesn't mean I carry it every day in our game plans. It would be ignorant of me to think that we can carry all the things that I do in videos. These are all the things that I've either done before, I would like to do, I have tried, I will try. That doesn't mean I do them all at the same time. So please don't ever get confused about that. Single side menu, if we get to a point where we've been at a place for a couple of years with safeties that have been in the system, coaches that have been in the system, maybe we open up the whole menu. There's been years where we've only played 1 single side coverage. That's all we could play. That's all that kids could understand. That's the only thing they were good at. We played 1 single side coverage. We didn't force anything to the kids because my playbook says single side menu. No, we played what the kids could play. The other beauty about the 4-2-5 is builds right into blitz structure. So now with your 2 inside guys, you've got your double A gap cross stuff to send 6. You can get 2 off the edge, regardless of whether it's these 2, whoever it is. You got your edge pressures where now you're under, pirated under. You've got edge pressures. I love the fact of the 3 safety system. We are automatically right now built to play man-to-man, 0 coverage, because we have 5 skills. We can play hot, bring these 2 down, and be the vision and break guys. So vision and break, vision and break. He's your middle hole deep player. He's your 3rd player. So all the stuff that was in vogue 2, 3, 4 years ago, Michigan State, I think, was one of the first to start doing it. Send 6, play zone coverage. We call it hot coverage. Vision and break stuff. It's easy. Down safeties, vision and break, free safety, middle of the field. And then it's also easy for single fires. You've got all your, whether it's a corner, a Mike, a Will, doesn't matter to me. You've got all your single fires built in to where you can send one of, so if we were there, twist, edge, similar, not exactly America's path, but similar in nature, ABC to the front side covered. We could now single fire. We could take the safety to the side of the single fire and rotate. Our middle safety, free safety, could always be replacing the blitzers as the 3-hole, 3-dropper middle hole, 2 seam. And again, ignore 3x1 right now. Not saying that's what we would do to 3x1. Just saying in general, 4-2-5 builds itself into 6-man pressure, 0 coverage, hot vision and break, 3 under, 3 deep, single fires. It has all the things that you need to develop a very sound, efficient game plan in high school. We played it Best season I've ever had. Again, 9-1, third round of the playoffs, 2 games from the state title. We were a 4-2-5 team, by the book, dead set camp rules, coverage on the back end, straight, almost verbatim from the way TCU, Gary Patterson does it. That's where I stole a lot of my ideas from. So in honor of our 425th video, that is a look back, another look at the 425 structure. Again, if you followed this channel for the 9 years we've been up here, I've done several 425 videos. Didn't mean to do one that was repetitive, but I just wanted to honor the 425 structure in our 425th video. So when I saw that and noticed today when I checked YouTube that I had 424 videos up, I said, hey, today's pretty cool. It's the 425th. Looked at it, 425. I said, hey, wouldn't it be neat to do a 425 video for the 425th video? So to everybody that's been along for this ride, thank you so much for everything you do for PlayFest. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button. Turn the notifications on so you know every time a video comes out or we go on YouTube Live. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like the video or don't like the video. All right, negative comments are welcome as much as positive comments because it helps me understand what we're doing. And it's your opinion. If you don't agree with what I teach, it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. Football's not meant to be played one way, and this channel was never meant to sell one way of playing football, and I've never tried to sell anything to anybody on playing the game of football. So your opinion is valid. I can tolerate your opinion. All right, and if we're going to agree to disagree, that's fine. I'm not going to get argumentative with anybody, but you can have conversations about a difference in opinion. So I don't mind a thumbs down every once in a while. It helps me with the product. So if you're getting ready for spring ball, good luck to you. Stay healthy. Hopefully we're back to almost normal out of the pandemic. If you don't have spring ball and you get ready for the summer, keep lifting, keep running. Good luck to you next year. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for being along for this ride. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast, and I will see you all on the 426th video next time.